Chapter 1. Atmosphere. The approaching examination created a tense atmosphere on the campus. Hydrosphere. All the water of the Earth's surface is included in the hydrosphere. Lithosphere. The hydrosphere and the lithosphere together form the Earth's surface. Oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen are gases. Oxide. Oxide is a part of our daily life. Carbon dioxide. Soft drinks usually contain carbon dioxide. Hydrogen. 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. You'll get water every time. Core. He is the core of the working group. Crust. The crust on the snow was thick enough for us to walk on it. Mantle. Parents often use mantles for their babies to keep warm. Longitude. The captain determines the latitude and longitude of his ship. Latitude. Our position is 40 degrees north latitude. Horizon. I could see a ship on the horizon. Altitude. We are currently flying at an altitude of 8,000 meters. Disaster. There was a great flood disaster in East China. Mishap. A mishap prevented him from attending the routine company meeting. Catastrophic. If the forecast had been wrong, the consequences could have been catastrophic. Calamity. A hurricane would be a calamity for this low-lying coastal region. Endanger. If you work hard without rest, you will endanger your health. Jeopardize. If you are rude to the boss, your chances of success may be jeopardized. Destructive. Jealousy is an extremely destructive emotion. El Niño. What changed the equation that year was El Niño. Greenhouse. The flowers are grown in the greenhouse. Phenomenon. Snow is an almost unknown phenomenon in Egypt. Pebble. The boy put his hand into the money bag and drew out a pebble. Magnet. He picked all the pins up with a magnet. Ore. This mountain area is rich in iron ore. Mineral. China is rich in mineral resources. Marble. They used marble to build the steps. Quartz. Have you bought the quartz clock? Granite. His grave is made of granite. Gust. A gust of wind blew the leaves off the trees. Breeze. We are enjoying the cool breeze that comes from the lake. Monsoon. The monsoon brings rain to us. Gale. We got our roof blown off in a gale last night. Hurricane. The hurricane flung their motorboat upon the rocks. Tornado. When a tornado touches the ground, it does a lot of damage. Typhoon. The typhoon is gathering strength. Volcano. The volcano erupted and 2 small towns were buried under meters of hot ash, mud, and bits of molten rock. Erupt. Hot lava erupted from the crust. Magma. Some types of minerals are made when magma cools and solidifies. Thermodynamic. His theory violates current thermodynamic laws. Smog. The smog was so bad that schoolchildren were advised to stay indoors. Fume. Petrol fumes from cars are poisoning the atmosphere. Mist. She could hardly recognize her son through her mist of tears. Tsunami. A terrible tsunami followed the earthquake. Drought. Many areas in Africa have suffered severe drought this year. Flooding. Since the flooding began last month, 16 people have died statewide. Torrent. A torrent of water poured down the mountain. Earthquake. Several countries in Eastern Europe are counting the losses caused by yesterday's earthquake. Seismic. The discovery of seismic activity suggests geological activity could provide large amounts of heat and minerals. Avalanche. Yesterday's avalanche destroyed several trees. Terrain. He climbed a tree to view the surrounding terrain. Landscape. The trees and the mountains made the landscape very beautiful. Continent. It is generally thought that Columbus discovered the American continents. Cave. This cave was used by smugglers in the 18th century. Cliff. The narrow path leads to a wooden hut on the cliff. Glacier. The glacier dislocated the great stones. Swamp. In the swamp we were beset by mosquitoes. Delta. The Nile Delta used to be a fertile land. Plain. Once there were 70 million buffalo roaming in the Great Plains. Plateau. The atmosphere is thin on the plateau. Oasis. Oasis symbolizes a hope in desert areas. Globe. There are people in almost every habitable part of this globe. Hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere you can hardly see the Magellanic Clouds. Equator. The equator is an imaginary line around the middle of the Earth. Arctic. The polar bear's habitat is the icy waters of the Arctic. Antarctic. Because of the extreme cold, the environment in the Antarctic is uniquely fragile. Pole. English is spoken from pole to pole. Polar. In these polar regions, the balance of nature has already been disrupted. Axis. The Earth's axis is the line between the North and the South poles. Deteriorate. Relations between the two countries have deteriorated sharply in recent weeks. Aggravate. Grief aggravated her illness. Degrade. A dishonest action like that will degrade you. Upgrade. The antivirus software should often be upgraded. Erode. The waves erode the rocks on the shore. Mediterranean. This dish is a cross between Asian and Mediterranean food. Atlantic. The Atlantic coast is within sight of the hotel. Pacific. What a beautiful and pacific place this is. Ocean. These creatures live in the depth of the Pacific Ocean. Marine. It is true that a lot of people like marine plants as their food. Navigation. Navigation is a game for brave people. Gulf. The Gulf extends northward. Beach. They walked along the beach, talking and laughing. Coast. He is going to live by the coast for the sake of his health. Shore. His ship pulled into the shore at midnight. Tide. The gravitational attraction between the moon and the earth causes tides. Current. He was swept away by the current. Brook. Before we drink at a brook, it is good to know its source. Stream. On either bank of the stream stands rows of willow trees. Source. I've heard from reliable sources that the company is in trouble. Shallow. The sea is shallow here. Superficial. Superficial scratches can be easily removed. Flat. In flat open country there is plenty of grass for the cattle to feed on. Smooth. The process of negotiation was not entirely smooth. Rough. You'd better give us a rough idea of your price. Sandy. We walked across the fields on the sandy path. Stony. The ground in this part of the country is poor and stony. Vertical. In some places the cliff was almost vertical and too dangerous to climb. Steep. A long steep path leads to a tea house with a grand view of the sea. Parallel. There are few parallels between American football and European football. Narrow. The only access to the garden is by a narrow path at the side of the house. Oceania. Oceania is a separate landmass, but it is separated from Asia by very shallow water. Mainland. Hawaii and Alaska are not on the mainland of the United States. Peninsula. His house is located on the tip of the peninsula. Climate. The current political climate in that country is favorable for foreign investment. Weather. In warm weather, you should wear clothing that is cool and comfortable. Meteorology. Nowadays, few people like to study meteorology. Mild. The weather is mild today. It is neither hot nor cold. Heating. The workers are installing a heating system. Moderate. Moderate. The wind was strong all day, but it moderated in the evening. Warm. The blood of a warm-blooded animal remains around the same temperature both on warm and cold days. Thermal. The thermal energy has become more and more important. Tropics. He lives in the tropics. Arid. It is difficult to grow fruit in arid desert areas. Moist. His eyes were moist with tears. Damp. The damp match won't strike. Humid. The milk powder has lumped together because my home is so humid. Snowy. The snowy weather lasted the whole time we were there. Frost. Sweet potatoes decayed after the frost. Hail. It hailed during the night. Thaw. The sun thawed the ice and melted the snow. Chill. The bad news cast a chill over the whole family. Freeze. The weatherman predicted a freeze for tonight. Frigid. Hohhot is a frigid city in winter. Tremble. There was a tremble in her voice. Shiver. She shivered because she was worried and afraid. Thunder. An express train thundered through the station. Lightning. During the storm, flashes of lightning appeared in the sky. Stormy. Our ship was tossed about on the stormy sea. Downpour. For the past 6 hours, the downpour had been continuous. Rainfall. There have been 4 years of below-average rainfall. Sprinkle. We've only had a few sprinkles of rain recently. Rainbow. A rainbow is usually seen after a heavy rain. Shower. The weatherman predicts showers this afternoon. Celsius. The maximum temperature in July may be 36 degrees Celsius. Temperature. After the storm, there will be a sharp drop in temperature. Forecast. The recent statement of the President forecasts a change in the situation. Peak. The mountain peaks are covered with snow all year round. Mount. The old lady can only mount the stairs with difficulty. Mountain. The northern side of the mountain is almost vertical. Range. A range of hills rose on our left. Ridge. The sky above the ridge of the mountains brightened. Slope. He ran up the slope to the top of the hill. Valley. The valley was hidden from view in the mist. Hillside. The path steepened as they climbed the hillside. Overlook. The house on the hill overlooks the village. Southern. Only in the southern part of Taiwan have I seen such scenery. Southeast. Austria lies to the southeast of Germany. Southwest. Ireland is in the southwest of the British Isles. Northeast. Snow in October is nothing strange in northeast China. Northwest. There is a large hilly area in the northwest. Eastern. The eastern situation is similarly intense. Oriental. She has studied the cultures of Oriental countries. Inevitable. Such a difficult operation may not succeed, but it's an inevitable gamble. Irreversible. He suffered irreversible brain damage from the incident. Irregularly. The patient is breathing irregularly. Inappropriate. Your bright red coat would be quite inappropriate for a funeral. Abnormal. El Niño will result in the abnormal weather. Sediment. The sediment of coffee will settle. Silt. River sediments gradually silted up the harbour. Muddy. We left the car and struck out along the muddy track. Clay. Bricks and dishes are made from various kinds of clay. Dirt. The children were outside playing happily in the dirt. Rural. The disease occurs most frequently in rural areas. Suburb. They proposed setting up a school in the suburbs. Outskirts. We live on the outskirts of the city. Remote. She came from a remote village. Desolate. So how should they escape from these desolate canyons? Distant. It snows all year round in that distant little village. Adjacent. We stayed in adjacent rooms. Toxic. All medicines are toxic. Pollution. Wastewater from the factory is the main cause of pollution in local rivers. Pollutant. Coal is a heavy pollutant. Contaminate. The river was contaminated with waste. Geology. He devoted all his life to the research of agricultural geology. Border. The border incident led to the war between the two countries. Margin. There is no margin for error in our plan. Fringe. We feel it's pretty good and we also offer some good fringe benefits. Plate. It is generally accepted that earthquakes are caused by two tectonic plates bumping into each other. Debris. We are searching for his corpse among the debris after the explosion. Crack. The door opened just a crack. Gap. There are wide gaps in my knowledge of history. Splendid. You are all doing a splendid job. Keep up the good work. Grand. He was born in the purple and was brought up in the Grand Palace. Magnificent. The king lived in this magnificent palace. Super. I've discovered a super restaurant near here. Interesting. There is an interesting program on television tonight. Dramatic. She made a dramatic speech at the meeting. Wilderness. From his attic window, he looked out over a beautiful wilderness. Desert. Desert. The baby's mother deserted him soon after giving birth. Deforest. The land is severely eroded as a result of widespread deforesting and intensive farming. Barren. That remote barren land has blossomed into rich granaries. Fertile. There's enough to transform barrel coral atolls into fertile groves. Fertilize. I fertilized the lawn and pulled out the weeds. Solar. This toy is operated by solar energy. Lunar. All traditional Chinese festivals are lunar calendar festivals. Calendar. The Islamic calendar has fewer days than the Gregorian calendar. Sunrise. The beauty of the sunrise is beyond description. Sunset. By sunset, we had covered 30 miles. Eclipse. It will take about an hour to reach full eclipse stage. Dusk. The street lights go on at dusk. Heaven. Our week on the tropical island was heaven. Paradise. This club is a sportsman's paradise. Sunshine. I was sitting in the garden enjoying the sunshine. Shade. He tried to shade his house with thick trees. Shadow. The willow's shadow falls on the lake. Vapor. When water changes to water vapor, we say it evaporates. Evaporate. The pool of water on the playground evaporated in the sun. Circulate. Circulating blood helps transfer the body heat out to the air. Precipitate. Clouds usually precipitate as rain or snow. Reservoir. This reservoir gives water to the whole city. Waterfall. They were filled with wonder at the new waterfall. Fountain. Social life is the fountain of wisdom for writers. Spring. It can be quite windy there, especially in spring. Dew. Dew dripped from the leaves. Pour. Tears poured from her eyes. Drain. They drain the swamp and turn it into fertile land. Drip. Be careful, your paintbrush is dripping. Drown. She attempted to drown herself in the river. Blow. Now, Peter, make a wish and blow out the candles. Puff. Don't puff cigarette smoke in my face. Gush. In a moment more, the crowd began to gush forth from the doors of the church. Dense. There will be dense fog in northern parts of the country tomorrow. Intensity. I was surprised by the intensity of his anxiety. Intensive. Intensive care in hospitals is given to the seriously ill. Emerge. The sun emerged from behind the clouds. Flash. The good news was flashed across the country. Float. The smell of roses floated around. Environment. An increasing number of people are concerned about the pollution of the environment. Surrounding. The polluted waste is often dumped unceremoniously, making the surrounding land infertile. Condition. I had almost decided to accept their conditions at that time. Situation. Due to poor management, they finally got into a difficult financial situation. Nature. In fact, nature is much better at recycling than we humans are. Natural. It is natural that he should fall in love with such a beautiful girl. Artificial. This fruit juice contains absolutely no artificial flavorings or colorings. Synthetic. Nylon is a synthetic material. It is not from nature. Petrol. My new car really eats up petrol. Gas. There are reports that some gas stations have run out of gas. Gasoline. The price of gasoline is unstable. Petroleum. Petroleum is an important natural resource.